What is going on, everybody? Welcome to or back to Writer's Record Collection. My name is Carl, and in this video I wanted to do another installment of my Albums of the Month series. It is January 2021, which means that we have survived all of 2020, the year that will go down with a big question mark in our history books, depending on who you ask. But since we're here and since it's 2021, I figured I would kick things off. I want to try and get these videos out on the first of the month, so I'm a little late with this one, but the one for February I will hopefully have out and posted on the first. And I also missed December 2020, so I apologize for that. But if you haven't seen these before, basically everyone collects records for their own reasons. One of the reasons that a lot of people buy wax is because the music they're buying on it is timeless. So with this whole series, I wanted to every month pull some records from my collection that are having some pretty big substantial birthdays. I did it November 2020. Again, I missed December, but we're here in January and I have a couple of albums here that I want to pull out and talk about that are turning 50, turning 45, and one is turning 10. So without any further ado, let's kick it off. So to start things out, the first album was released 50 years ago this month in January 1971, so it is turning 50, and it is B.B. King live in Cook County Jail. It was actually recorded September 10th, 1970 in front of a crowd of about 2,117 prisoners in the Cook County Jail, which I believe is in Chicago. This was recorded right around the time that Johnny Cash was doing his very famous Folsom Prison and San Quentin concerts. So B.B. King followed suit and asked the warden of the Cook County Jail if he could play. When he went and talked to his record company at the time, they said, well, if you're going to do that, you should bring some recording equipment and you should bring some press with you and we'll make an album out of it. So that's what they did. This album is considered by many to be one of B.B. King's best albums, and before Rolling Stone absolutely butchered their list of the 500 greatest albums of all time, this was featured on it. This album is mostly blues, slow blues jams, and as you can see, the screen is on the color of jean, which is what the jumpsuits the inmates were wearing, and if you feel it, it feels like a jean fabric. 50 years later, it's still a great listen. So if you catch this before the end of the month, this is going to turn 50, and if you have it, you should spin it. So this next album turns 45 this month. It was released in January 1976, and it is a greatest hits album full of just banging classic rock songs. It is Creedence Clearwater Revival's Chronicle, their 20 greatest hits. This was all recorded between 1968 and 1972, and at the time, CCR was just a album making factory, full of great songs, full of great tunes. This was the first CCR album I got on vinyl before I started to build out my discography, and it's awesome. It's killer music. It's the quintessential 60s soundtrack. The album consists of 13 A-side singles and 7 B-side singles, and is CCR's best-selling album in their discography. They have a Chronicle Part 2, which I believe they released in like 82, which are kind of some deeper cuts. I don't have that in my collection, but for anyone unfamiliar with who CCR is, they are a classic rock, I guess you can consider them southern rock or swamp rock band from San Francisco. And they broke up, I believe, in 72 or 73, but they made a whole bunch of really good music before they split. So this turns 45 this month, and if you have it in your collection, I definitely recommend you spin it. And if you've never heard of CCR, they're swamp rock, southern rock, Americana rock, very good. And if you're looking for a good CCR place to start, Chronicle, their 20 greatest hits, you can't go wrong. It's one of the best classic rock compilations of all time, in my opinion. Okay, this next album, some people might say that I'm wrong in pulling this out and saying that this was released on January 7th, 1971, because you can make the argument that it was released in September 1970, but It was released in the UK in September 1970, and since I am in the United States in sunny South Florida, I go by American dates. So on January 7th, 1971, Black Sabbath released their monumental album, Paranoid. So this is celebrating its 50th birthday this year. Paranoid is Black Sabbath's second studio album, and it was their breakthrough album that just put them on the map through all sorts of people. I've watched a couple of interviews with the producers and the people that were involved in this, and it was very apparent from when they first started to record this that a lot of people saw this as the album that was going to break Black Sabbath. It is honestly the only Black Sabbath album I own. It really has all the Black Sabbath tracks that I want to know. Some of those tracks being War Pigs, Paranoid, Iron Man, Electric Funeral, which I really like, Hand of Doom, and Fairies Wear Boots. And that I'm just leaving 2 songs out, but the whole album is killer from beginning to end. Very weird artwork. It's some guy with a samurai sword dressed up as like a pig with a helmet on, so who knows what that's all about. It's Black Sabbath, it's Ozzy Osbourne, it's weird. This album, a lot of people credit as having a very big influence on heavy metal and just metal in general, but I don't know if I mean, I can see the influence, and some people even venture to call this a heavy metal album, but I don't know if I'd go that far. I'd say it's a really good hard rock, borderline stoner rock album. But if you haven't heard it, it's definitely worth checking out, although it's pretty inescapable to hear the song Iron Man at least once in the modern world that we live in. But January 7th, 1971, this was released. So on January 7th, 2021, if you have this, play it, because it's going to turn 50, and you can celebrate the genius of Black Sabbath with Ozzy Osbourne. This next album was released on January 9th, 1976, so it is turning 45 this year. It is a progressive rock band, and it is their greatest hits, but this is Jethro Tull, MU, the best of Jethro Tull. The MU at the beginning is sort of like a joke and a nod to all the people that have been on this album. MU in the title stands for Musical Union, which is just a nod to all the session musicians that have played on this album throughout the years and throughout the different albums that they've pulled tracks from. And the recordings on this album range from 1969 to 1975. So it is a pretty good snapshot of Jethro Tull. There is a MU, the best of Jethro Tull #2, which I do not have in my collection. If I find a copy of it out in the wild, I will probably buy it, because these are very good entry points to Jethro Tull. I like him. I've seen him in concert, but I don't have a full-on deep dive discography in Jethro Tull. I have listened to the Aqualung album multiple times, but this for me does about everything that I want it to. It has a lot of really good tracks on it. Aqualung, Thick as a Brick, Bungle in the Jungle, Locomotive Breath, Living in the Past, Skating Away on the Thin Ice of a New Day. So it's got some great tracks. I don't know if you could see the light writing on it with the light, but 45 on January 9th, 2021. So if you have it in your collection, play it. It is a very good entry point for someone who wants to get into Jethro Tull, or a just really good compilation album to grab for someone who is pretty satisfied knowing the tracks on here for Jethro Tull. This next album is turning 50, and it features a female vocalist. It was released on January 11th, 1971, and is turning 50 on January 11th, 2021, and this is Janis Joplin's Pearl. It was her second and final studio album, which was actually released after she died, an unfortunately young death at the age of 27. It was recorded from July to October 1970, and actually Janis Joplin unfortunately passed away before the album was finished being recorded and produced, so it was released several months after her death, but nonetheless is a testament to her talent and her vision and what she was doing at the time. I personally prefer Janis Joplin on her own. She made two fantastic albums. The first one, I Got Them Old Cosmic Blues Again, Mama, and this one, Pearl, which is the first album she had with the Full Tilt Boogie Band. I'm not a huge fan of her stuff with Big Brother and the Holding Company. It's good, but I definitely think she shined a lot more when she did her solo thing in her solo career. This, as you can see, is a radio station copy and is not for resale. And it's got the timestamp on all the songs on it for the DJ that was going to play it. Out of Janis Joplin's 2 solo albums, I think this one might be my favorite, just because it's got Move Over, Cry Baby, Me and Bobby McGee, which is just a fantastic classic rock song. Mercedes-Benz, another fantastic classic rock song. And Get It While You Can, which I think are my favorite tracks on this album. And like I said, the first to feature the Full Tilt Boogie Band, and unfortunately the last album released in Joplin's lifetime. Tragic, but great. A really, really, really good high note for her to unfortunately leave things off on. And like I said, it is turning 50 on January 11th, 2021. So if you have this in your collection, you catch it in time, play it to give a nod to Janis Joplin. And last but certainly not least, this album is an infant compared to these other ones. It is turning 10 on January 11th, 2021, released on January 11th, 2011. This is Cage the Elephant, Thank You, Happy Birthday. This is their second studio album released after their self-titled debut, and it is just awesome. It is not really talked about a lot in the Cage the Elephant discography, but this was right around the time that I really, really got into this band, was the release of this album, and I saw them on this tour, and it blew my mind. It is just, it's alternative, psychedelic, grunge, all sorts of things wrapped up into one. It's got some killer songs on this album. It has Shake Me Down, which is a very popular song, along with, Shake Me Down, which I think is the most popular song from this album, but every track on this album is just amazing. Always Something, Aberdeen, Indie Kids, which is just one of my favorite songs by them. Shake Me Down, 2024, Sell Yourself, another just crazy song by them. Rubberball, Right Before My Eyes, Around My Head, Saber-Tooth Tiger, which is a phenomenal way that they close out some of their shows. If you ever get the chance to see Cage the Elephant in concert and they start playing Saber-Tooth Tiger, you are in for a treat because they kill that song live. Japanese Buffalo and Flow. And this is an album that I mentioned in another video that has some crazy artwork, but it is turning 10 on January 11, 2021. One of my favorite Cage the Elephant albums, if not up there for my favorite. Really good. Highly suggest it. And that is 6 albums that are celebrating some pretty big birthdays here in 2021. I will do this monthly, and I will actually stay on top of doing it monthly, so I will not miss any this year. I hope you like this. The whole point of this is to just talk music and hopefully show you something that you might not have seen, and in turn, if you find something that you like, that's awesome. And if you see the albums that I pull and you're like, oh man, you might really like that album, then that's the whole point of this. I just want to talk in music, maybe share some facts, and just show off a little bit of my collection. And I'd love to know what you think. Like I said, there's going to be a recurring thing, so if you like it, please tune in for February's albums of the month, and we'll keep on going. I will have some more content out for you guys soon. If you like this video, please throw it a like. If you enjoy the channel, please subscribe and check out some other videos. I'm going to keep on doing this. I like talking music, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. So I am Carl. This is Riders Record Collection. Cheers, guys.